Thanks for joining us here today. Cakes, Cooking, and More. I'm Marie Lockwood. Today's recipe is bourbon chicken Alfredo that has a nice creamy sauce with it that's got just a little kick to it. So let's see what we need. So for this recipe, what we're starting with is to get our chicken ready. So we have our bag of chicken from before. And we have a little salt and pepper, basil, oregano, garlic, olive oil, and some bourbon. Now we're going to put everything into a single bowl. And you're just going to give this a nice mix until all of the chicken is well covered. And then we're actually going to cover this and we're going to set it in the refrigerator to let it soak up all of that bourbon and the oils and the spices for about an hour. And at that time, we will come back and get the rest of our stuff started. We don't want to get anything else going yet because it'll be ice cold by the time this is ready. And you do have to give this a little time to soak up the flavor in order for it to taste right. Now in the summer, we soak raw chicken in here and then we cook it on the grill, but it is so cold outside right now that that's not really an option. So we're having to do it this way. And since we're soaking it in bourbon, I actually cannot safely cook it on the stovetop inside the house. It's a little bit different. When it's on the grill, it's pretty easy because you can just shut the lid, but for those of you who are wondering, that is actually a clock in the background. That seems much louder on video than it really is. Alright, so now that we've got this fairly well mixed, you can see everything's pretty good and soaking. Like I said, we're just going to cover this with saran wrap, set it in the refrigerator for 1 hour, and then we'll be back. Okay, so now we've got my bow tie pasta is cooking behind me. And then I've also got my Alfredo sauce made. This is the packet of Alfredo sauce again. Like I said before, I don't like the one in the jar. It's a little bit thick and clumpy. And I don't like when I make it myself because it comes out really thick. So this is the Kroger brand mix. Okay, so let's get, my noodles have 1 more minute. So let me get those taken care of and then we'll be back for the next part. Okay, so for this part, we're going to turn our heat on. You don't need it super high. Now here we have some Cajun seasoning, a little bit of vegetable oil, some white wine. This is a Chardonnay. Some hot sauce, not salsa, actual hot sauce. Garlic, salt and pepper, and some minced onion and bell pepper. So first we're going to add our onion and bell pepper. Okay, in the onion and bell pepper, we're going to add our little bit of butter. And you do want to use softened butter for this, it just goes so much faster when you do. And a little bit of garlic. The other stuff we'll be adding in a few minutes. Now what we're looking for is for that butter to melt and that onion and bell pepper to cook. And you'll know when it's getting close because the onions start to be a little translucent. So we'll get this started and then we'll be back. Okay, now that our butter is almost completely melted, we're going to add our white wine. We're going to simmer this down a while. You don't need to get rid of all of the white wine, but you do want to simmer out most of it. Okay, now at this point we're also going to add our shiitake mushrooms, which I have rinsed. You want to make sure you rinse those because, you know, they do come in that cardboard box. You never know. I'm going to get those in there. Okay. Alright, all of that's in, well mixed. Alright, so we're going to let this simmer for 3 to 4 minutes just to get some of that white wine down, and then we'll be back. Okay, now that our white wine is simmering, our onion is getting nice and translucent. Everything's soaking up that sauce. Alright, so at this point, we are going to add our Cajun seasoning, our salt and pepper, a little bit of hot sauce, okay, now you're just going to make sure you get that stirred up really well. Alright, we're going to let this simmer for another minute. I'm going to wait till it starts to boil again, and then we'll be back. Okay, now that it's started to bubble again, we are now going to take our Alfredo sauce that we prepared. We're going to pour that in. Now this has really thickened up because we cooked it and then we let it sit for a few minutes. And that's okay because the white wine that we used earlier, plus all this other stuff, will help thin that back out. So you're just going to stir that again. Get it all mixed in so that we have a nice spicy cream sauce. Okay, so we're going to let this cook on low, just a nice little simmer, for about 5 minutes, and that's going to help thicken it the rest of the way up. So we'll be back in 5. Okay, so now that we've been cooking this for 5 minutes on a low simmer, you'll see it's just barely boiling. When you stir it, you'll notice that it's thickened up quite a bit. It's very creamy at this point, and we don't want it to get too thick. So what we're going to do is we're going to add just a little more white wine, and that kind of helps thin it back out a little. Keeps it from getting too thick. Just give it a nice stir. Now at this point we're going to add our chicken. And you're going to want to drain the chicken. We don't want to pour all of that bourbon in here or you won't be able to eat it. So we're going to put this in a strainer and drain it, and then we'll be back. Okay, now that our excess bourbon is off, we're just going to add that chicken to our sauce. All right. We're going to give that a nice stir, and we're going to simmer this for another 5 minutes. And this is one of the reasons why we added a little more white wine, because this is going to simmer for another 5, so it's going to thicken up again. Okay, so we're going to simmer this for 5 minutes on low, and then we'll be back. Okay, now that we've been simmering this for 5 minutes, get a nice little stir there. All right, now we're going to add our bow tie pasta. Your pan after this is going to be very full. Just want to get that noodles down in there. Try to get that stirred so that you get that sauce all over the noodles. And then again, we're going to give it another 5 minutes to simmer. And the reason is one, we want to make sure our noodles are heated back up because, you know, we made them a little while ago. And two, we want to make sure that we burn off any of the bourbon or the excess wine that's still in there. And it helps thicken up the sauce a little bit more. Okay, once you have it stirred, like I said, we're going to cover it again. We're going to give it another 5 minutes, and then we'll be back. Okay, at this point, we've been heating up on low simmer for 5 minutes. And you can see that the sauce has thickened up quite a bit. There's not a whole lot of watery left to it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn that heat off. Give it a nice stir just to make sure everything's well mixed. You're going to let this sit for a few minutes to one, cool off a little because you won't be able to eat it right now, and two, to let it thicken up just a bit more. So after about 5 minutes, it'll be ready to serve, and we'll be back then. Okay, so here is our bourbon chicken Alfredo. As you can see, the sauce thickens up quite a bit, so it comes out a very nice creaminess. So I hope you enjoy this meal as much as my family does. Thanks for joining us here today at Cakes, Cooking, and More. I'm Marie Lockwood. Have a great day.